Welcome into the SMU TV studios here in Dallas, Texas. I'm Grace Lawrence.
I'm Peter Warner.
And I'm Grace Thompson.
And we are here to preview the SMU football game against Houston this Saturday. But before we get into that, let's recap their win against Tulsa. Pretty good road win, big road win. They haven't gotten many road wins at Tulsa, so that was nice to see. But the storyline is injuries. Preston starts for an injured, possibly concussed Tanner Mordecai. In the third quarter, he goes out with what is thought to be a broken left collarbone. Before he went out, he threw for over 200 yards. His first drive was a 70-yard rocket to Rasheed, and it resulted in a touchdown just a play later. So, I'm starting out with you, Peter. What did you see from Preston that really impressed you that game?
I think that his ability to throw on the run when he was forced out of the pocket, he looked really impressive. And also just his arm strength looked really good. I really like that about him. And that first play, I think that with Rashi going 75 yards right off the bat, I think led to confidence. And he was just in one. He was playing incredibly good football. Yeah, and then,
he goes out. That's so tough on the offense, on the entire team, especially going in. It was his first career start. But then Kevin Jennings from Oak Cliff, he steps up to the plate. So what did you see from that with Kevin coming in?
I was obviously really nervous. Having a true freshman, we've never really heard or seen anything from him, even in practice. So I really had no idea what to expect, and obviously was super disappointed to see Preston go out. But I think he really held his own incredibly, and obviously threw for a touchdown. And I think that obviously what they were doing with the run game is what we've been hoping for the past few weeks, and I think that's another detail that kind of helped them hold on to that game. I think also the team knew that they really had to rally behind Jennings because he was so kind of green and fresh. I think that is another detail that I'm assuming kind of shifted morale a little bit, because they could not leave him out on his own, as they can kind of allow Mordecai and Stone to do. And I think they supported him really well, which was nice to see.
Yes, and like you said, the run game. So we had the opportunity to talk to Tyler Levine. We'll throw that in just a second, but over 70 yards for 3 touchdowns. What impressed you most about Tyler?
I mean, he just gets the ball and he just goes straight ahead, full steam. Doesn't care what's ahead of him, and he just goes, and he gets the yardage every play, and it's really impressive how he does that. It's pretty much a fullback. They call him a running back, but he's just like a fullback traditionally, and he fits the mold too, which is really funny. That's one thing I like about it.
Yes. All right, let's see what he had to say. So, Tyler, over 70 yards for 3 touchdowns. What clicked against Tulsa?
I mean, we knew we were going to be running the ball the whole game. Inside zone just started clicking, and offensive line really did well up front, and we knew we had to ground and pound, so that's what we did. So,
your running back room laden with injuries. The team needed you to step up, and you did just that. So what were you thinking throughout the game?
I mean, yeah, it's just the next man up mentality. We got a lot of great backs in the running back room, but I just did my thing each week and come to work, and I knew it was going to be a big role for me. So.
Yes, and you just didn't let up the entire game, So what were you thinking throughout the game when it came to that?
I mean, just how to do it. I mean, what we do every day in practice, just prepare, watch film, and I knew it was going to be a big role. Running the ball, that's what Coach Lashley always wants us to be able to do, and 4 more yards each carry, and that's what we try to do during the game. So I think we did well at it.
Can you take me through? Preston goes out. How does the offense rally around Kevin Jennings?
Yeah, so we were excited to see Preston go out. I hated seeing him get hurt because he's such a competitor. As soon as Kevin came up, we knew it was going to be a big role for him, being a little freshman. But we were excited for him because we all know he's a great athlete, and we were excited to see what he can do out on the field because we've seen what he can do in practice. So it was really exciting to see that the world could actually see him as well instead of just us at practice. So
now Houston's won 3 straight, so how does SMU look to stop them on Saturday?
Just do what we do each week. I mean, we come out, play fast and physical, and I think we'll be just fine.
Now, you played so well in the Tulsa game. How do you now carry that into the Houston game?
Just like I said, week by week. It's different every week, but in practice, it's just do the same thing each and every week, and just do the same game plan we got, and don't do anything different. So
now you become famous for the neck roll. Even the announcers pointed out, pretty old school. So why do you wear it?
I actually wore it because I actually had a neck injury 2 years ago, so threw it on, and it's just kind of been my thing now, and a little image and whatnot. So.
And then you're also famous for the hat you always sport, run the ball. You ran the dang ball pretty well against Tulsa, so what's the choice behind that hat?
Like we say, we always want to run the damn ball. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that.
No, it's okay.
But, I mean, it's a cool little hat, but I haven't been wearing it as much this year. But, yeah, it's kind of the motto. So.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank y'all.
Yeah. All right, that was a great interview with Tyler. We thank him for taking the time to do that. Now, like we said in those questions, you know, TJ was out, Trey was out, Camargo's out. He steps up to the plate. There was a lot of stepping up to the plate. Let's talk about Rashee Rice. Grace, I'll start with you. He's back to leading the country in receiving yards. What did you see from him? Because he helped carry that offense along with Tyler. They were kind of a tandem in that game.
I think he's just so consistent, and I think that when they're implementing more of a run game, as we saw versus Tulsa, and how Levine was literally just sticking it to him, like going straight through, it was awesome. But I think that opens up Rashee and other receivers a lot more, and I think that is kind of where Rashee got some of the opportunities that he had because they were anticipating a run game on some of those plays. So I think that is another strategy that hopefully we'll continue to see down the line because opening up Rashee obviously is going to help him get to the end zone a lot quicker than if he's triple or double teamed.
Yeah, you know, Peter, what impressed you most about Rashee?
His just pass catching ability. There are a lot of 50-50 or less balls that he shouldn't have caught, but his hands are just so good that he just catches seems like everything, and he drew more pass interference calls, which they finally put out a stat about it. 12 pass interferences drawn is actually incredible.
Yes.
Through 8 games, he's averaging 1.5 PIs against a game. That's pretty much at least a guaranteed 15 yards, usually on long distance third downs too, where it's really important. So that was kind of really cool to see too, just how much attention he draws and how that shows how unguardable he is.
Right, because he's either going to catch it or he's going to
drop penalty.
Exactly. Let's talk about the defense a little bit before we transition into the Houston game. Elijah Chapman, they call him the Bison, and he recovered a fumble for a touchdown. First time since 2017 that's happened. He is a leader on the team, on the defense. He's a captain. What impressed you most about the defense? You know, they came out pretty strong. They kind of gave up a little, but then Elijah comes back and he recovers that fumble for that touchdown. So what did that do for them?
I just think that touchdown was so awesome.
The arms.
The scoop and score and the way they were all running. And we talked about this like just on the side, but the way the other defenders were trying to protect him because he's a big guy trying to hoof it down the field. And just the way that they were like all kept looking behind them and like trying to like guard him. I just was sitting there just giggling. It was just incredible, and then their celebration was obviously awesome. That's just like the entertainment aspect of the touchdown. But you know, I think that definitely reinvigorated a defense that was kind of feeling a little run down, especially after having Stone go out, and their job got a little bit more important when that happened. And I think that they were obviously in the fourth quarter, and it gets tiring, and when they have trouble finishing, I think that touchdown really reinvigorated the defense and showed them again what they're capable of, and it was a great scoop and score.
Yeah, for sure. Peter, what did you see from that Tulsa game that you hope they carry into the Houston game this Saturday?
The first half defense would be great to have. Second half, I guess they still gave up 27 points, which is not good. So hopefully we can keep that first half defense and not kind of start and wane away again like we have in other games. It's, again, a full football game. It's 60 minutes, not 45, not 30.
Yep.
Hopefully that defense can play like those 30 minutes for 60 minutes. That's one thing I hope for. I also hope to see Mordecai kind of come back. I think hopefully the pressure, it can either hurt you really bad and kind of cause you to collapse with all these players underneath you doing really well. His second and third strings now looking really impressive. But hopefully he steps up to the plate and shows why he deserves that spot, because he has to really at this point, and hopefully he is able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we would have had a quarterback controversy if Preston stays in that game, because I think that Tulsa doesn't have that little run they do if Preston stays in. But now we've kind of transitioned to the Houston game this Saturday. They're back home at Ford. Last season the season imploded after the Houston game. It was a 100-yard punt return, one of the best plays in college football probably last year. I remember it. Halloween weekend, Saturday night, and right after that happened, Sonny Dykes suddenly gets linked to so many different jobs after that. Really just coaching trickles down, implodes, not ideal. I know that's in the back of their head when they're playing this game, but it's a fresh team, fresh start, but it does sting. I feel like I'm always asking you, like when I'm talking about the previous year's game, but do you think that holds any truth to how they're going to play, or do you think they're thinking about that Houston game from last year?
I mean, I think returning players definitely have some sort of vengeance about it. That was a pretty tough way to lose a football game. I would say, I think that, and we've kind of mentioned this when we've talked about other kind of like quote-unquote rivals. I think TCU is obviously our one tried and true rival that's going to consistently have something over our head, like a mental cloud kind of over people's heads. I don't think Houston really deserves much of a pedestal of like a rival, but I think there will be a vengeance, and I think that since it was such a close game prior to that punt return, I think that it should be an interesting and entertaining game. Obviously, we need to kind of win this if we want hopes of being bowl eligible. Houston's record kind of compared with ours and their stats, I think we have a really solid chance. I think Houston allows a few more points than we usually do, and we kind of score the same kind of average per game.
Right, and they've severely underachieved. They were top of the conference going in, pretty much with Cincinnati, and also UCF, big win over Cincy this weekend. We'll talk about the conference outlook a bit later, but Houston's underachieving. So what do you see happening in this game on Saturday?
I say this every week, but it's the reality of our team is points. It's going to be high scoring every week. It seems to be a high scoring game, and a lot of one-score games. And I would guess this one ends up the same way.
Hopefully in our favor.
Hopefully the Stangs are winning that one. But I think it's going to be close, and I think it's going to be a really good atmosphere too. There's a little bit more hope back in the football program. If we lost versus Tulsa, the atmosphere is going to be kind of, not really exciting.
I think last home game of the season too,
Exactly.
especially for seniors.
For students,
Yeah.
right? They will have the
students.
Memphis one Thanksgiving week, but students won't really be here for that one.
I've noticed, this kind of veers a little bit off football for a second, but I've noticed that so many students, at least in my 4 years at SMU, the student section has cleared out a lot faster this season, and obviously that has to do because of record and how they're playing. But I've been a little bit disappointed to see it, and admittedly I've been one to leave a few times. But it's hard to watch, see that, looking up and seeing that section empty.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that for this last Boulevard, especially the seniors, kind of stick it out.
Right.
Especially when it's a close game. That's when
And
I get really bothered.
it's in-state, an in-state rival. They're not TCU caliber, but they've been in the conference. It goes back and forth every year, always a close game. Grace, who do you think, we talked about Tanner and Rasheed, kind of besides them, who's going to be a key this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I want to see Tyler Levine do exactly what he did in Tulsa. Wary about it though, because obviously Houston knows about that and knows kind of what to look out for now. But at least they have some sort of run game to be in the conversation with. You know what I mean? I think in the past it's always just been Rasheed, passing, whatever. So yeah, I think the perfect recipe of running the ball and passing to Rasheed will have to succeed.
And I think they found their running back in Tyler. I mean, we're big Tyler fans now because he's been a guest on the show. But we talked about, finding that person, and it's so just inconsistent, just going through so many. And it just so happened, unfortunately, it was because of injuries that Tyler had to step up to the plate. We never want that to happen. And Kamar looks like he'll be back this game. They're two completely different running backs, which is almost good. They're a good tandem because, Tyler's going to get you your short yardage. He's going to get you that 1 yard touchdown.
If they see Levine in there, they're going to load the box, but then that's going to open up the outside for Kamar, which I think would be really cool play calling. But we usually don't do that formation, so that'll be interesting. But I'm just kind of generally excited to watch Mordecai get back. That's my biggest story. Just hopefully he can return to what he was.
Right. And he's back. He's suited up at practice, so that's good.
Circling back to the consistency thing that you were talking about, like finding a player that works and keeping it. I read in the Dallas Morning News this week in the profile about Tyler, Coach Lashley was saying he's such a true player because he doesn't complain when he doesn't get minutes. He works just as hard as everyone. And at the end of his quote, he was like, and that's why he's going to play. And I think that just laying out why he deserves it, I was like, yes, that is the mentality that we should be using, because I think a lot of the time that's not necessarily what we see on the field. So I'm hoping to see Levine get the minutes he deserves.
And when you saw it in the interview, it was more about his team than him, which, you would honestly expect out of him because he just seems such a great teammate. But he was like, it was next man up. It was my job to do it for my teammates, which I think is really inspiring, and it's nice to hear from somebody on the team. Talking a little bit about the conference, Tulane still sits atop, but now UCF jumps because they beat Cincinnati in the bounce house. So, yeah, it was a really great game on Saturday. They had the same time slot as us. Then Houston's in at 4, so they were able to jump with the only losing one conference game so far. Then ECU sits atop us because they have beaten UCF. Peter, what have you seen from the conference? I mean, we've got Tulane coming up pretty soon, so we're not going to look ahead too far, but what has surprised you? What are you excited for with this conference in the latter half of the season?
Depth. we haven't had depth in recent years. I really like how the fact that any team can win any game, except, I mean, Tulane's somehow separated itself, which no one would have expected.
Expected it, yeah.
But I think there's competition in every game. Like, as we saw ECU beat UCF, no one would have thought that would have happened. And I think it's really fun, and it makes it an exciting conference to have depth like that, because we haven't had that in a while. And also, it's, I think, good for the future for the Mustangs with the top teams who are leaving next year. Now it's showing that we have depth and teams that are going to be competitive to play against next year still, which I think is very good for the Mustangs.
Right. How about you, Grace? What have you seen from the conference?
I was just about to say that, like the fact that teams are leaving, I kind of was concerned that we wouldn't really have an entertaining like schedule in the conference, you know. But with Tulane and ECU and these other teams kind of like really pulling out and showing that they're still in the game, I think is going to be really interesting to watch play out next season. I think it's definitely just been very interesting. I never, ever would have expected Tulane to be higher than us or winning the conference, because that's usually a game that I'm not really ever even concerned by in past years. So it's just so interesting to me.
They did get disrespected though in the college football playoff rankings, as I thought they did a little bit higher.
I wanted to talk about the college football rankings for a little bit, because you know
I'm fine with the top six.
There was a team.
I'm fine with the top six.
When Reese Davis was talking about the top 10, there was a team that SMU only lost by 8 points to. That was 7. It was TCU, which I honestly think proves good for the Mustangs, because they only lost by basically a possession. And I mean, it was TCU has steamrolled. Who would have thought? But then, you know, I mean, who knows what the committee thinks? It's right in the DFW area where they meet, but none of us are in that conversation. Anything surprise you besides Tulane from the CFP rankings?
I mean, honestly, as much as I hate to say it, TCU should have been ranked higher.
Yeah.
They are.
You think they're better than Clemson on paper?
I think Clemson on paper, they've had this first or second, depending on what metric you look at, toughest strength of schedule, and they're undefeated. I mean, that alone should be putting it, and they've been so good offensively too, and they've won games where they shouldn't have won, and they found a way to win them, which I think they should probably be 5 or 6.
Right.
As much as, again, I hate saying that.
Yeah.
I also just really disagreed with where Clemson was put, and obviously we saw that from a bunch of different sports journals. But yeah, I think Michigan got the short end of the stick there. I would like to see Michigan in the top 4. I think they deserve to be in the top 4. TCU, I think, also got kind of, I can't think of the right word, got kind of the shaft there, but also like Alabama's right above them. So how much further can you go before TCU is ranked above Alabama? Like that is,
and to all,
I don't know how.
I mean, Alabama's, you know what, the Lakers, the Yankees of college football, but one loss to Tennessee, who I think they're going to beat, hot take, I think they're going to beat Georgia this weekend. So we'll have to see. So that was a little broader picture, but back to the conference, like we said, Tulane got a little snubbed. But UCF is back in the rankings. They've been ranked, I believe, 13 times since 2018, but this is their first time since, I'm pretty sure, that phenomenal season they had, that they're back in the top 25, which is really impressive. So they also teased the uniforms. We do not know what they are, but a lot of the comments were saying, you know, we might see some darker than usual uniforms this weekend. Are you guys excited? Grace, I'll start with you. For what? Because it seemed like a pretty big hype video.
I think darker uniforms would be like so cool.
For the night game.
Yeah, for a night game. I think also we haven't really had much change in our uniforms in the past couple of years. Like going back to blue pants was like supposed to be crazy, I guess, but it just wasn't that crazy to me.
Change,
I did not realize that was like something we had phased out.
It wasn't.
I think so many schools are also starting to wear darker colors, even if it's not necessarily in their like school colors. So I don't know. I think it's cool, and I think we've got our dark colors going on today completely coincidentally.
Yes.
But yeah, I think dark uniforms would be really cool to see on the field.
Yeah, and you know, our game's on the NFL Network, so you guys get to see Rasheed Rice a little bit early on that network.
True,
Are you excited for primetime, a night game at home?
I mean, primetime, yes, but weird primetime network still kind of shocked how NFL Network ended up with a college football game, but I'll take it.
Yes.
Coverage, I mean, people are going to be going to look for NFL highlights and then stumble upon an SMU game, so they're forced to watch it. But no, I'm actually really excited. It's going to be really fun. And again, last game for the students. So, and for, I think, all of us here, it's our last home game to attend, so it's going to be kind of fun.
I'll be at Thanksgiving. Don't worry, guys.
Okay. Maybe I'll switch my flight. That might be a Zoom pregame show that week. But, okay, last question. Who you got? What's your
SMU,
pick? SMU,
always.
feel like we're always going to pick SMU.
Yeah, I feel like it's not even worth making a pick.
I mean, we are
I'll pick
good
Houston.
to mention.
I'll say Houston then. So it's
Okay,
not the same.
we are a 3-point
I don't
favorite.
think Houston's
I'm
gonna
a
win.
flip. It's a flip. I'm actually just telling you. I don't know which team's going to win. I just know it's going to.
Yeah, I mean,
SMU is
it's
a 3-point favorite, so that's pretty solid. Yeah, so tune in 6 p.m. on the NFL Network to see the Mustangs take on the Cougars for a great primetime night game. It will be our last in-person game at home. So we're all seniors, and we're really excited for this last night game. As always, pony up.